All right, good afternoon, good evening, good morning, whatever time of day it is for you. Welcome to the Clip Point. And today we're going to review an old school, great pocket knife. So here we have the Microtech LUDT. These are sometimes hard to come by, and this is in the legendary apocalyptic finish. What a great side opening pocket knife. I guess one of the original to make it a very popular thing. So let's go over a couple of pros and cons of the glorious LUDT. It is thin, it is lightweight with an aluminum chassis. It's snappy, plenty powerful enough, an excellent EDC shape, long pocket clip, makes for a really good contact patch in your pants. That way you don't lose the knife. Obviously I've carried mine quite a bit. One thing I will say about the LUDT that's a bit of a watch out is make sure, if you'll notice, that button is just slightly proud of the chassis. I would not carry this in a back pocket. Cut my thumb pretty bad one time when I sat down and accidentally pressed the button and it opened halfway. Bit me pretty good. Learned my lesson. This is not a back pocket knife. This is a side pocket where you don't stand much chance of hitting that button. But other than that, it's been fantastic. I mean, the action is awesome. I've had this for about 2 years. Obviously, I have a lot of knives, so I haven't carried it exclusively, but as far as side opening automatics, when I got this, this was one of my go-to knives. Pretty epic. I like the apocalyptic finish on Microtech. I don't know if they still make that or not. I'm not sure. I don't keep up with Microtech as much anymore. But I saw this and I thought, you know what? It'd be pretty cool to do a quick old school review on an old school favorite. What's nice about this saber grind is that it's actually capable of being very sharp. This one I believe is 204p. Let's see. Yep. So good edge retention. It's pretty easy to sharpen. I don't think I've done anything other than touching it up with leather, and it's been sharp. You know, one of the things to understand about any knife, especially a Microtech knife, is if you go with an OTF that has a narrow blade, what happens is they become very difficult to sharpen, and most of the time they're not even that sharp from the factory. And the reason why is because the blade is so narrow that you can't get a good angle. You know, it's kind of obtuse. And so if you have an obtuse angle, you're not going to be as sharp. But when you have a nice long or wide blade rather, you have the ability to really grind and get to that gradual edge and create a very, very sharp knife. And it's also easier to sharpen that way because there's so much, you know, real estate to pull that edge back, especially if you dent it or ding it, that it becomes a very useful EDC blade. This is an excellent EDC. If you want an entry into Microtech and you're not as comfortable with some of the more expensive ones, if you can pick up an LUDT, I would do it. It's definitely a great knife. Old school design. This is still very similar as it was from the 90s. Okay, and yeah. Not a lot to know. One cool factor as far as the build on this knife is that it actually tapers. So it's fat up here, and then it gets thinner here. So small detail, but worth noticing. So there you go. There's a quick review, about 5 minutes, on the Microtech LUDT. Enjoy.